So is nature bias, module 4? What do you think? Is nature bias? Is nature fair? Which one? Do you feel that nature is fair or is nature bias? Fair. Jayashree say fair. Okay, fair. Is the universe kind? Does universe reward the good and punish the bad? If you are still looking at the world through the lens of moral judgment, this is the moment everything shifts. So Jayashree say it just is. Yes, it just is. So let's face it. In Darren says it's always fair, cause unfair is fair too. Oh, paradox. Okay. If say Tao is not biased, very good, very good. So I think you are there already about know quite a lot of things about Tao and yet not the complete Tao. 道可道，非常道 Okay, let's move on to chapter 5. 第5章. And 第5章 is really to address this question about is nature bias. So let's face it, we grew up believing that a powerful force, be it God, universe, or nature, should be benevolent, should be loving, should be kind. So when we read chapter 5, chapter 5 says, 天地不仁，以万物为刍狗. Loosely translated, heaven and earth are not benevolent. 不仁 means not benevolent. They treat all things like stray dogs. Oh my God, so harsh. This statement looks so harsh. I repeat, 天地不仁，以万物为刍狗. Loosely translated means heaven and earth are not benevolent. They treat all things as stray dogs. It hits very hard for those uninitiated or first time reading 道德经 say, wow, how can universe behave like this? It feels cold, it feels heartless. Wait. Is nature cruel? Let's clear this up. 不仁, this 不仁 doesn't mean cruelty. It doesn't mean not benevolent. It just means not biased by emotion, not selectively kind, not sentimental. It just means impartial. It just means transcendent. It just means Tao doesn't play favorites. That's like gravity, right? It doesn't care who you are. If you jump, you fall. So nature flows with laws, not opinions. You know, 刍狗, we talk about 刍狗. In ancient rituals, straw dogs, you know, and all those items that you see in these slides here were used symbolically. And then, you know, before the rituals, these items are deemed very important that no one should easily touch it, right? But after the ritual, they are discarded. They are discarded. Just like that. Before that, so important, cannot touch. But after the ritual, they are just discarded. And Darren said, just like recent earthquake, regardless who you are, you still kena. That's right. So this is universe. Now, they are discarded not out of disrespect, but because their purpose was fulfilled. Likewise, Tao doesn't cling. It creates, then let go. It allows life to flourish and to decay without interference. So that's not cruelty. This is wisdom without ego. A kind of love that's beyond human morality. Just look at the sun. The sun is impartial. Whether you're human, plants, or scarecrow, or that worms there in the picture, the sun will still shine on them without favoritism. So now let's look at this powerful talk about moral progression, a ruler about moral. It says here, 失道而后德. It means when the way or the Tao is lost, virtue appears. I'll explain later. Just follow me. And then next level is 四德而后仁. When virtue is lost, kindness appears. Next, 施仁而后义. When benevolence is lost, righteousness or morality appears. Then the last one is 施义而后礼. When righteousness is lost, propriety appears. Now, what's happening here? Every time we lose the higher level, we compensate with the lower. The highest level is the Tao. Okay. So when we trade natural harmony called the Tao, right? Then we will have to trade it for virtue, the. And when the virtue fails, we have to rely on the next level called the kindness. And then when kindness doesn't work at all, then we have to fall back to the lowest level called morality, li. And then even when that breaks down, wrong, when that breaks down, we drop up all the way to the last level called the proprietary. Sorry, I missed the E. I missed the E. Okay. So we move from flow to control, from alignment to appearance. So being polite, when you talk about courtesy, proprietary, being polite, is just an entry level Tao. Right? So the scale is actually upward. The scale is actually upward. And Tao, the way of Tao is the highest level of morality. So being polite is just the entry level Tao. Right? Being righteous is the next level. E is the next level. Okay. So, but real harmony isn't about trying to be good. It's about returning to the way, to the first level, Tao. So when Lao Tzu says 天地不仁, 天地不仁 means Tao is way. Let me clear the ink first so that you understand what I mean. 人 is here. Okay, 人 is here. So when Lao Tzu says 天地不仁, basically means Tao is way above 人, way above this 人, way above benevolence. Don't compare Tao with the benevolence that we understood. Right? It's different level. Darren is saying with that flow further deepens why we tend to say 德不配位. It's really many steps to reach there. That's right. So with this ruler, right, these slides, then we understand more better, right? So politeness, being polite is just the entry level only. We have many more steps to go up to before we can call ourselves sage, So we have to work harder. We have to work harder. So the Tao and the hexagram 13 called fellowship, 同人, teach us a very radical idea. The wisest leader are like nature. That means the sage are like leader and like nature, quietly present and never biased. So nature supports the tree, we know that. It supports the grass, supports the weeds, all alike. No favoritism, impartial. It doesn't shine the sun brighter on one flower because it's prettier. It doesn't say, oh, I like the oak trees more than the ferns, therefore I give the oak tree more sun. No, it doesn't do that. It nourishes all without favoritism. Now reflect on this. Do you lead like nature? Or do you subtly play favorites without realizing it? Parents, leaders, teachers, this one hits deep. When you favor one child, one team member, or one student, you might think you are encouraging them, but often you are creating resentment, division, and distance. So hexagram 13 here, 同人卦 fellowship reminds us, fellowship is about unity without uniformity. I repeat, fellowship is about unity without uniformity. Leading without cleaning. Supporting without controlling. So the Tao actually praises those who do things behind the scene and let others shine. So do good without needing credit. They are like the parents who quietly make sure there's always food on the table, but never says, look, what did I do for you? I put food on the table for you. Never say that. Okay, so they are the leader who let their team take the spotlight and smiles quietly from the back. So their presence is very subtle, but their influence is immense. This is Tao. And to align with Tao, to being a leader, do all this. We have been taught to fill ourselves with knowledge, pride, control, expectation. Then Tao comes in and flips this thinking, right? So what if being empty makes you the most powerful? Let's explore what the Tao says. It says here, loosely translated, between nature and us is like using a bellow. Okay, it's empty but never collapse, moving yet always producing more. Okay, so let me explain in a different manner. It is not the space between heaven and earth, you know, but it's the empty but never exhausted. So it's the emptiness, and the more it works, the more it produces. I know it sounds a bit complicated. I will talk about it more later. Darren says, suddenly think about my late mom say, want to pay money to help others, still need to mention about it. Then better don't do. You lose the purpose. Oh, this is Tao. Wow, your mom. Wise. Very wise. Okay, so what is a bellow? Okay, what is a bellow? A bellow, later I'll show you a picture. What is a bellow? How does a bellow look like? Is in fact, inside is a hollow. Yet, every squeeze that you squeeze the bellow, it generates air, breath. It never runs out because it's not full. So Tao works the same way like the bellow. After giving birth to all things, Tao doesn't cling. It lets them live, die, declare, flourish, or nourish on their own terms. That's like plant grows without, needing any applause. Caterpillars become butterflies with no instruction. Rain nourishes all without discrimination. If you are always full of judgment, full of control, full of overthinking, then you are leaving yourself no space for the Tao to move through you. So to leverage on the Wu, you need to clear space. I mentioned that just now. You need to let go of needing recognition. You need to let go of controlling outcomes. You need to let go of resistance to what is. Why? Because heaven's nature is to nourish all life. That is the function. Nourish all life. And even when life gets tough, heavens never cut off all paths. Not say heaven, Tao. Tao never cuts off all paths. Another way, another door, another path will always open. It's yin yang. So instead of asking, how can I control this situation? You perhaps can ask, how can I empty myself so that the right solution can flow through me? Where in your life are you too full to receive? Or what expectation, fears, or control habits can you release so Tao can do its works through you? Okay, so there's a saying in Chinese called 天有好生之德. This is what it means. Now, talk about bellow. This is a picture of a bellow that in the olden days, people use it to build fire. Okay, so today, we live in a world that rewards noise. Like you need to be loud, you need to take credit, you need to get noticed, or else you are irrelevant. Tao again challenges this belief. Let's look at the humble tool that's packed with wisdom, and that humble tool is called the bellow. The bellow. Now, the bellow doesn't create fire. We all know that, common sense. The bellow doesn't create fire. It doesn't take credit for the fire, but it is absolutely essential for fire to happen. Glass making needs fire. Forging swords needs fire. Cooking a meal for your loved ones needs fire in the past. Now, but in the past they used bellow to create a fire. So behind all that, the bellow is working in silence. This is called Tao Chong. So Tao works like a bellow. It's empty, so it has space to give. It keeps moving, So the more it is used, the more it generates. It never gets tired, right? Because it never clings to credit. Example. Oops. Example. Your lungs are modeled after this same pattern. They are hollow, they expand and contract. They don't seek attention. But try going 1 minute without your lungs. And you know what happened. So this is like bellows. This is like the Tao. So be like the bellow. Let your strength come from being spacious, not forceful. At work, create space for others to grow without stealing the limelight. In family, provide support quietly without demanding thanks. In service, do your best work without expecting applause. So Tao doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to be functional. Just like the bellow or in your lungs. Okay, so let go of needing recognition to feel worthy. Okay, let's move on. Now, we have been also conditioned to believe that speaking boldly, drawing hard lines, and showing unwavering certainties are marks of strength. Tao, we must remind us, 多言数穷不如守中. Loosely translated, extreme words leads to exhaustion. It's better to stay centered. Now, 多言, what is 多言? 多言 basically means don't speak more than necessary. Or, for example, I will never, okay, for example, I also 多言, so don't speak in absolutes. Like, I will never do this, I will never accept this, I will never agree to this, don't speak in absolutes. Or things like that. This is called 多言. Now, 诉穷 basically means don't put yourself in a position whereby you leave no room for retreat. Don't do that. Don't push yourself all the way to the edge, and then finally, when you look back, there's no more room for you to move except to drop down. So Darren say, 话不要说得太满. That's right. In Chinese, it's called 话不要说得太满. 满招损. That's how we talk about 满招损, right? Fullness lead to loss. Let's talk about what happens when we speak in absolutes. Zelensky says he will not negotiate with Putin. All right, let's see what happened. Okay, it's too full. It's too full already. We'll never negotiate. So basically, he's trying to cut off all possibilities of retreat, pushing himself to the edge of the cliff. And then another example, local example, you say, I'm quit, I'm done. Joseph Schooling's sudden retirement, perhaps exhausted by the burden of past glory. Now, what happened next? They hit a wall. He hit a wall. No way out. No space to adapt. He got burnt out or get stuck. I don't know. Right? So basically, Tao is saying that don't go to the extreme. Like what Darren says, 话不要说得太满. Don't go to the extreme. Don't talk in absolutes. Always make room for retreat. So what Tao is trying to say is 不如守中. Or better to hold to the center. Now, I just want to debunk a myth. The 守中, the 中 is not the Confucian middle way of compromise. The 中庸之道 is not. 中 is not equal to the Confucian way, middle way of compromise. Okay, and what is this 中 then? It is, I rephrase it. It's called 不如守冲. Is to maintain the balance through spacious neutrality. That means the nimbleness and the emptiness so that you can move. Or it's like standing in the eyes of a hurricane. Calm, centered, and open to move in any direction. So it's not passive, but poised, calm, composed. So 不如守冲. Basically, is to maintain the function of balance. So people often blame the government, the market, the boss, the algorithm, the enemy, but don't realize most people suffer begins with their own desires. For what? For fame, for success, for control, for recognition, for knowledge. Basically, we overreach. We overpromise. We speak too much. We leave no exit. Then we say life is unfair. But in reality, we forget to 手冲, stay in center. So when you're tempted to declare your final decision, pause. When you're provoked to prove a point, stay grounded. When confused by chaos, try returning to balance. So hold the space, not the opinion. Gut neutrality, not ego. So that's not weakness. That's not weakness. That's power under control. You see, look at China now. Even though the terrorist war, right? China is like 手冲. They are doing that. They are showing 手冲. That means they are maintaining the space so that they are able to move left, move right, move front, move back. So Darren said, "Love the saying of China. You can attack me, but that doesn't mean I don't attack. We just want to maintain the harmony." That's right. So that's right. Very good example. Okay. Okay. So everything begins somewhere. We already know everything begins somewhere, and then the ultimate beginning, the mother of all, will be revealed in the next workshop. Not workshop. Yes, workshop. The next workshop, workshop 3. So until then, ask yourself, where have I spoken too much, promised too loudly, or left myself no room to breathe? So the Tao, in the end, is not biased. It's just always whispering. Less force, more flow, less noise, more space, hold center, let the world turn. Right? So this is what Tao is always trying to whisper to us. But are we listening? Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the last module of today.